and I believe that is the end of the stories. Oh no, wait, there's one story, the
No.
positive story. Yes, I forgot. This has been added right at the end. This got added like just before the show because I was like, hey, I would like something positive. The next story is, of course, cis woman wins North Carolina Wrestling State Championship. Um, so, Heaven Fitch, female wrestler, became the first woman to win the North Carolina High School Athletic Association Individual Wrestling State Championship. That is a hell of a phrase to say. Specifically in the 106-pound weight class. Ending her season with 54-5, I believe that is wins to losses, record. Winning her the Most Outstanding Wrestler Award. Not too much to say here, but as we all know, an individual case like this means that now cis women are the strongest threat on earth. We have to ban cis women from everything. Of course, I'm being facetious here. But it is interesting, like all those people, like, oh, you know, cis women can never be like male athletes, etc. It's like, she just did. Okay. I just wanted to share that because I've been seeing a lot of trans people sharing that story. So yeah, it's just like, does it mean anything in the big picture? Not really, because like again, they've never shown evidence that trans women are a danger to sport, so I don't have to prove that they're not a danger to sport. And you
It's
know,
just very fun to turn their own arguments back on them.
yeah, because it goes back to like the whole Stephen Woods thing, and the fact that in his first video he referenced multiple cases, like specific cases, and like he presented that, oh, this is in a sport. I looked into them. A lot of them were not what he claimed. For example, there was a female wrestler he talked about, and she'd only set records for the specific wrestling league, not wrestling, sorry, weightlifting league she was in. She hadn't even set like weight category across the board, just that one league. Apparently that was the end of women's sports. It's like, no, actually, cis women have done better than her in like across all leagues, sort of thing. She's only the highest in this one specific league because there are multiple weightlifting leagues. So that was funny. And then like in my response, I pointed all this out. And then in his response, he was like, oh, well, Ethel just used like case studies and anecdotes. It's like, the only cases I ever brought up were the ones you brought up. I turned them back on you. It's just... They should make sports and athletics based on skill, not gender. No. Like, just because as trans women are entering it, like, you take it away, that kind of, like, shows something. I strongly disagree with that.
It's like how people were responding to the push for
marriage equality or
same-sex marriage, but like, oh, we should just get rid of marriage. It's like, no, can you at least give them a few damn years? No, you can't. Especially because like culturally, when things are really ingrained, trying to dismantle them is hard in the first place, but also just overhauling everything the moment someone different shows up, it really is just...
Yeah, especially as
it's
if
exclusionary.
If you did that, it's just going to be used as an excuse to exclude all women, both cis and trans, as they're not going to get sponsorship. It's difficult enough to get people to appreciate women's sports. You look at people talk about, like, you've got, you know, football and women's football. You know, you don't say male football and women's football. You say football and women's football. It's very hard to have them both taken serious. To have women's football taken seriously, and same for other sports. So yeah, I that's not a good idea. That's a bad idea. Parading around is a good idea. It sounds like it sounds very intuitional, and it sounds like very pleasant. But given like the social context, no. This at least get to a
problem,
point.
I think.
So.
Yeah, the problem I think is partly that when it comes to these very complex problems, we'll come up with solutions that seem very good on paper. Oh, let's just change everything, but it's not that simple in the real world. Even if it were a good idea to work towards that, there are so many things you need to change. In the interim, we need a solution, and that interim is to just include trans people in as the gender that we are.
And as Linda notes, like a load of people are just going to turn around and say, trans people have literally destroyed sports. In the same way that schools using language inclusive of not just mother and father, but parent, guardian, caregiver, etc., is being framed as the trans people have destroyed gendered language. And it's like, no, this policy predates like the current trans movement. This shit is about people who have been adopted, people who are cared by grandparents, uncles, aunts, etc. Also, people who belong to same gender households. You know, this is about including them. This is already a thing, but they're making out that like trans people have come along and destroyed this language now. Yeah.
There's criticism that's been brought up of a lot of non-binary people don't identify as men or women, and so having to go into one or the other is not good. And
like we can restructure sports, and I'm like absolutely open for like more weight categorization. I'm open to opening like specifically non-binary or even open
mixed divisions.
You can have
we need more
unisex divisions whilst also having the gender sports as well. Like that happens.
We need more mixed divisions in general as well, because there are a lot of sports that are segregated when it's not necessary. Like, for example, Olympic shooting. There's no reason to segregate that. You don't need to be physically strong for that, but it is segregated anyway. So,
but the idea of just
in general,
what's that? Go on.
Yeah, in general, we do need more mixed sports, but also including non-binary people is a really good reason to do that. But it's way easier to have mixed divisions than it is to try and remove gender from sport altogether.
Like, there are little ways you can do these things, so yeah.